I'm going to spend the next few minutes walking through the EMPURA 64-inch horizontal bottle cooler so you can decide if it's really the piece of equipment that will make your bar or home setup run smoother, or if you'd be better off looking elsewhere. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What most people don't realize until they actually start measuring space, loading bottles, and figuring out how they'll pull a drink during a rush is that the right cooler isn't just about capacity on paper, it's about how it fits into the flow of your service, how much energy it actually sips, and whether the extra features like a built-in opener actually save you time or just add complexity. First off, let's talk about the situation that brings most buyers to this product. You've probably got a small to medium bar, a craft beer taproom, or even a well-stocked home bar, and you keep hitting the ceiling with a traditional upright fridge. Bottles get cramped, you spend extra seconds hunting for a cold one, and the back of the unit is a black hole for temperature-sensitive drinks. The hesitation comes from the fear of spending a few $1,000s on a unit that looks impressive on the spec sheet but ends up being a space eater or a money drain. That's the exact spot where the EMPURA horizontal design tries to solve a real problem. It spreads bottles out in a single layer, giving you visual access to every single 12-ounce container without having to dig around. From a practical standpoint, the horizontal layout is a game-changer for a bar that rotates its stock daily. Because the bottles sit flat, you can quickly grab the exact brand or style you need without pulling a drawer open and rummaging through a stack. The built-in bottle opener with a cap catcher sits on the front panel, which means you never have to reach for a separate tool or worry about caps littering the floor. In a real-world shift, that translates to a couple of seconds saved per pour over the course of a busy night. Those seconds add up to a smoother service rhythm and a slightly higher turnover. The electronic temperature control is another point that often trips up buyers who are used to dial knob units. EMPURA's digital panel lets you set the exact temperature you need for beer, soda, or mixed drinks, and it holds steady because the insulation is described as efficient. In practice, that means you can set it to the classic 38F for lagers and keep it there without the compressor cycling on and off constantly. If your electricity bill is something you keep an eye on, this steadier run cycle can shave off a noticeable fraction of energy use compared to a less insulated model that fights to stay cold. Now, who should really consider this cooler? If you run a bar where you serve a rotating selection of craft bottles, especially if you have a limited back-of-house footprint, the horizontal footprint, just over 5 feet wide, under 3 feet deep, can actually free up vertical space for a prep table or another fridge. The capacity of roughly 528 12-ounce bottles means you can stock 3 full pallets without having to restock multiple times a day, which is ideal for locations that see a spike in traffic on weekends. It also works well for a home enthusiast who wants to keep a sizable collection of bottled brews at the ready without having to repurpose a garage freezer. On the flip side, there are clear situations where the EMPURA might feel like overkill. If your operation is primarily draft, with only a handful of bottles for special releases, you'll probably never fill the 528 bottle capacity, and you'll be paying for space you don't use. Also, the horizontal design, while great for visual access, does require a clear floor area in front of the unit for the door swing and for the cap catcher to operate without hitting a wall. Small kitchens or cramped bar backs where you can't pull the unit out even a foot may find the layout awkward. Finally, the unit runs on 115V standard US power, so if your venue is wired for 3-phase or you need a higher amperage draw, you'll have to double-check the electrical specs before ordering. Talking about strengths, the first thing I noticed in the installation videos is the stainless steel top. It doesn't just look sleek, it resists fingerprints and is easy to wipe down after a spill, which is a subtle but appreciated detail when you're cleaning a busy bar. The insulation appears to be a high-density foam core sandwiched between metal panels, which is what keeps the temperature stable and also reduces the noise level of the compressor, a nice perk if your bar has an acoustic vibe and you don't want a humming fridge stealing the spotlight. The environmental claim of friendly refrigeration ties back to the fact that the unit uses a low GWP refrigerant. For the environmentally conscious buyer, that's a tangible point beyond just marketing speak. Weaknesses tend to surface after a few weeks of regular use. The built-in opener, while convenient, is a single-point mechanism. If you have